The golf swing uses two unequal hands. They have different jobs and different levels of skill. And so it's best to train them individually. Now, the club head's too heavy to swing with one hand. So we hold the other end of the golf club. And here's how to do it. You hold the wrong end of the club in the shaft, you don't hold the head. And you do it as if you're sort of fencing with somebody who's small. And you don't touch the ground, you hover it above the ground. And you form the golf swing by turning the shoulders as if they're a lid on a cylinder. Your body's the cylinder. And you do it with the right shoulder lower and the elbow looking down toward your hip. It doesn't have to be touching, but keep it in that shape. And keep it that way, looking down all through as you turn your shoulders like a lid on a cylinder, and allow the wrist to hinge so that the club ends up across the back of your shoulders. Now, you may lift the left heel off the ground a little bit, but do keep your eye looking down toward where the imaginary ball would be. You're not going to hit the ground, but look in that direction. And then as you swing through, you make a whoosh. And your right side will follow through where the toe pirouettes up. And that right shoulder, which was lower than the left one at address, as we described the original position, continues to be lower than the left one. And at that point, you maybe have a look of perfection on the face with one eyebrow raised for the cameras. The rhythm is one and whoosh. Okay, then we swap hands and do the less good hand. It's quite different from the right hand. First of all, again, gripping in the fingers, you turn the entirety of the arm and the hand over so that the elbow is looking out at the target and you can't see the tips of your fingers. And this shoulder is, of course, higher than this one at address. You're not going to hit the ground, but you're going to turn the shoulders again like a lid on a cylinder, and you're going to hinge the wrist, but you keep this arm extended all the way through the backswing and the downswing. It only bends as it wraps around your neck with the right shoulder lower again and the right foot pirouetted. And the rhythm is again, one and whoosh. And then you try both hands. So we start with the left one. You turn the elbow and the hand over, and then you attach the other hand down below it. Now, it's too thin to do a great job with that. Just do what you can. And then you'll think you're going to be twice as powerful, twice as loud a whoosh. You'll be somewhat disappointed that you're doing very well if you get the same noise with two hands that you were able to get with one. So it's one and whoosh. Hold the follow through, look good for the cameras. That's the basic golf swing. Practice these swings daily because you're building familiarity and balance and probably strength and range of movement. And the picture we're trying to draw essentially is like the spokes of a wagon wheel that's sitting on the line where the ball is sitting toward the target and leaning on the wall behind one. And so the club is sort of the spokes of that. And that's the formula that we're trying to develop. Sometimes I describe it as a windshield wiper blade as well, and you can imagine what movement would be most compliant with that idea. Then we have to get the club to the ground, and with two hands and with the heavy end of the club. And there's a process through which I want you to go. Your arms, when you hang them to your side, usually hang with the thumbs turned in slightly. You see some people who are taller and more slender who occasionally have the hands looking toward the legs. You don't see anybody standing like this. So this is a very natural posture with the thumbs turned in. It turns out to be quite a valuable resource because if you simply rest the club between your feet here, sloping across your knee, and hold it with your left hand, just letting it hang to your side, grip it in the fingers, with the thumb slightly right of center, you've just found out how to hold the club with your left hand. Very important. And the idea is to grip in such a way that if this were a rope and you were having a sort of one-handed tug of war with somebody, that your grip would feel like it's capable of that. We don't grip it like a fist. That doesn't match the task of a tug of war. So having gripped down here, you then pick up the club. Now you don't have to lift it all the way up here. You just want the lower arm clear of your body. The upper arm can remain touching. And then you attach the other hand, making sure that you haven't let the arm turn this way again. You keep it the way I've described with the elbow looking out. You attach the other hand by hooking the middle two fingers around, butted up against the left forefinger, cover the thumb in the pocket made down the palm of the right hand, and form a figure Y with the forefinger and thumb. There's a V with a stick on it. And with the little finger, you wrap it around the knuckle of your forefinger. Some golfers interlock it. I always found it a little uncomfortable. And if you have small hands, just put all 10 fingers on the club. Then extend and bias your arm. Now, what is bias? It means to turn the elbow out, as I've already described, with the shoulder higher than the other one. And because of that bias, you'll notice that the club has drifted over here in front of my right foot. Well, that's not usually where the ball is. It's more in front of my left shoulder. And so without changing the arms in any way, just simply relocate the club so that it's more compatible with the ball position. I call that rectifying the club. And then finally, you look to see if the club face is what they call square. Square is where the lines on the face and the bottom edge of the club are essentially vertical in front of you. That would mean that they're in fact perpendicular to the target line. If they're not, there's an open club face, for example, something that'll come up in other conversations. You simply twiddle it around your fingers until it is gripped vertically. You don't turn the hands and arms. We've already got them right. Now, keeping your arms the way I described, where the upper arm is touching your body, but the lower arm is not, and remember the left shoulder is higher than the right, you're going to tip over. And this is where your posture is developed. As we tip over, the golf club goes down, of course, but it also goes inward. And when it gets to the top of an imaginary golf ball, let's say a couple of inches above the ground, you then find, well, your legs are straight, and of course, no sport's played well like that. So you then use your knees to drop down. And it's very important that you don't then change the posture of your body. You drop your head and your tailbone down vertically, and you'll notice that the bottom of the club is not flat on the ground. We tend to think that that's logically appropriate, but in fact, it'll be slightly toe up, particularly if the clubs fit you correctly. And then just to start the process of learning what is called a waggle, just clean a little piece of that windshield wiper or windshield by moving the club back and forth. And that is giving you an early insight into how to confirm that you're standing correctly and getting the right distance from the ball and maintaining these shapes. And also, very importantly, how to initiate the backswing, which we'll talk about when we get to hitting golf shots.